Hello, my fellow kid, and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, I wanted to shake things up yet again a little bit and do something a bit different. I was going to talk about the current competitive Leagues of Votann list I'm looking to run for the next event that is coming up potentially. In addition to that, I do have some events lined up. Teams one, which is really major for us in June. So I figured with an RTT approaching as well, it'd be a good opportunity to potentially test out the list that I'm looking to run. And I figured for this video, what we could do is talk a little bit about that list, split it up into three parts. First, of course, we'll talk about the list. I then have a very special setup on TTS. Finally, I'm with the times, so we will look at TTS and kind of go through one of the actual missions in the mission pack, look at my deployment, my turn one, talk about that in a little bit of detail. So hopefully you guys can learn a little bit about prepping for events as well. I know that's something that's been quite popular, especially after the deployment video I put out earlier this month. And then lastly, for people who are interested, I do want to have a third part to this video, which is going to be a little bit more just kind of talking about the state of the channel. So kind of like a channel update, an update for myself as well. So that one's going to be a little bit more of like the personal component. So I guess if you want to just see my list, stick around for the first 5 minutes. If you want to see my list and tournament prep going into this event on an actual mission table on TTS, stick around till the halfway mark. And then if you care about the channel and any interest in myself, then just watch it to the end. With that said, of course, a massive, massive thank you to our channel members who, without their support, I probably would not have made it this far into the YouTube sphere. So a massive thank you to Jordan Stuckenschneider, the Pulp, Fusel, Sam P, Austri TM, Dabadakis, Travis Taylor, Aaron Easley, Smoky Miniatures, Mr. Wolf, Koromar, Chaos King Plays, Gregory Williams, Realist Chance, Ron Helton, Nicholas Stapp, CarX, Ham Sandwich, Droidiac, Last Draken, Jade Sadler, Matt Castro, Kituk Onsiri, and Alexander Swart. Thanks so much for your ongoing support, guys. It really, really does mean a lot. All right, let's talk about the list. So this list kind of has a bit of an interesting story to it. For the initial team event we played at earlier this year, where we came second place against basically Team Quebec, we were talking about designing something for Votann that was just really a strong defender list in the meta. Eldari were quite rampant at the time as well. So the heavy goal with this list was score as many points as possible. And then I did an interview later on. I didn't end up taking this list. I ended up taking something very similar to the current Tim Schneider one with the double 10 break of the Berserks and of course the double 6-man bike squads. I thought it was a very good list. It's very strong. It's awesome. But it just wasn't really like my play style. Wasn't enjoying it too much. So I figured I would shake it up a little bit for the next one coming up. I then did an interview with Tom Hampshire on the channel. And Tom had a list that was very, very similar to the initial concept I had for running kind of like a Horde MSU Votann list, because I do believe firmly that this is probably one of the strongest builds that you could do for Leagues of Votann currently in the meta. And I really like it a lot. I think it's really strong. It has really good scoring potential. It's like super hard to not score points with this list, which is perfect for teams as a defender because for those of you who don't know how that works is you're not really playing always necessarily for like a win. You're usually just playing for the fairest amount of discrepancy in points between, the disparity in points, I should say, between yourself and the opponent. As a defender especially, you're trying to not get a wide disparity in points in terms of like a gap between you and your opponent. You want to keep it as close as possible and potentially even get like a very narrow win. And I think this list is exceptionally well at doing that. So heavily inspired by my talks with Tom, heavily inspired by my initial concept idea for what I wanted to initially run and kind of like my vision in terms of how I see Leagues of Votann playing. So let's talk about that. Now, first up, I have two characters. I have an Einir champion with Appraising Glare. This guy's taking the Mass Hammer. I then have an Einir champion with Wayfarer's Grace. So Wayfarer's Grace is the one where to get back up on a 2+, and this guy's running Dark Star Axe. I'm starting to test the list out. I might swap it a little bit, But my thought process here is that you can use the Wayfarer Grace Darkstar Axe to kind of be like an early trading piece if you really wanted to. He absolutely, on average, picks up like a squad of 5 guys. He has mortal wounds on the charge. He has like damage 2, strength 6 weapon. You could increase your AP pretty easily, I'd say, if the unit's judged. Combos well with Appraising Glare as well. So you put like Appraising Glare on the center objective, for example. You throw this guy out. And he kills something because he increases his AP and melee, and then your opponent has to respond. They shoot him, he just gets back up again, and if they don't have something that could charge him, you'll score primary on your turn. So I think he's a pretty cool piece in terms of playing the game like that, so I thought he was quite interesting. I figured I'd try it out on the Darkstar Axe. I then have 3 squads of Hearthkin Warriors. Now, these guys are all rocking the identical loadout of a high-las rotary cannon and a high-las regular gun that has the rapid fire. A lot of highlights. So I in my interview with Tom has a bit of an interesting approach to this. He kind of decks out each one of these squads a little bit differently to have like a different purpose. So like, for example, one squad has like the kin melee weapons, another squad maybe has like a bit more of the assault guns that I have here for all of my guys, and then the other squad had some of like the more anti-tank pieces. And I think that's great. I think it's awesome. For myself personally, I think it's just simpler to run them like this. I also don't have all the bits to like play like a WYSIWYG list like that, so it's just much easier for me to play it out like this for simplicity, for my opponent's simplicity as well, just tracking things on the table. I don't think it's super impactful to have like that level of micromanagement, but it is absolutely impactful for sure, like without a doubt. If you have a little bit more control over where units go, I would love to have one of them have the kin melee weapons. I just don't have it built like that. I'm not going to break my head over it. It's fine. So these guys here are going to all be split up into Sagittars. So I got 6 Sagittars. They're all rocking high lasses and the Twin Bolter, of course. And then I have 2 squads of 10 Jaegers. These guys just have pistols and knives, so no special weapons here. I've come to find I never shoot with this unit. It dies to a move block, like it is the move block turn 1 and then it dies, or it just like charges into something behind a ruin to try to kill it, and I get my judgment tokens. So I get my CP from the judgment tokens, I should say. I've never found it to be impactful, the shooting, so I just dropped all the special weapons and I'm taking all pistols and knives, just get more melee attacks coming in. The extra 4 melee attacks I think is quite significant by dropping no special weapons. So we have 2 of these over here to play midboard. I then have 3 squads of Chthonian Berserks. Now I have them all listed here as Mauls. And after playing a single game, I realized I really want one to have the axes. I'm not sure about a teams event, because in teams you have a little bit more control over, of course, which matchups you're playing into. So if you are designing your list to be really strong into like hyper aggressive 3-wound models, then obviously take the Mauls. But I think if you're running this in singles, which I definitely think this list can play singles very well, I would take one with the axes. I think it just gives you a lot of versatility, and I'll even give an example of this later on when we show the deployment and the prep for the event. I then have to wrap up the list 2 squads of 6 Pioneers with the high-las rotary cannons, the scanners, searchlight, and the comms. So that's the list in a nutshell here. I think it has a lot of pieces. That's kind of the whole point. That's why your opponent will struggle to stop you from scoring, is because you just have so many units. I think it's like 20 or 21 activations here. It's pretty good. You have a lot of screening potential. You have a lot of not rapid ingress. You have a lot of heroic intervention potential as well with like the E-champs if you position them quite well. You could get a lot of board space by pushing your Jaegers up. You have more trading pieces early game that are actually quite significant into other early game chaff. And then the 2 Pioneers are kind of like an insurance to just kind of say like, hey, just you got to respect my damage. I'm not just all cheap stuff. I do have some heavy hitting units that are sitting back ready to shoot. So that's the list. It's pretty fast. It scouts aggressively. It can get onto objectives. It's very flexible. The Berserks allow you to have good counter punch measure and trading on objectives very well. Praising Glare, which is basically mandatory for me. And then you have the mass amounts of MSU for tons of OC pressure to just jump out of Sagittars, cycle, as we spoke about in our deployment video, and just get to more places more quickly. All right, so for part 2 of this video, I want to talk about, just do like an example of how I'm prepping for this event if I decide to take this list, which we'll talk about in part 3 of the video as to why that's a question. And I just want to kind of have a TTS view. Everybody's been asking for TTS, so I finally got it. I finally set it up. It took me a while to do. I'm not a huge crazy fan, but undeniably it's incredibly effective at practicing deployment, undeniably. So this is the setup here. So the first mission for the RTT that's going to be on Saturday coming up is going to be Mission I, which is Burden of Trust, Search and Destroy, and the one where your infantry gets go to ground and heroic intervention for free. So I have the setup here, and this is again on GW. I think this is layout 3. And so this is the list that I discussed in the previous section that I just finished talking about. So I decided to test this out a little bit, and there's a lot of pieces here that are very flexible in terms of what they're going to do based on the opponent I'm playing against. But a good chunk of this is just always going to stay where it is for like regardless of who I'm playing against, basically. And so let's talk about this a little bit. So Burden of Trust, you score primary for holding the center objectives. So my home, not super important in this case. There isn't a ton of value in holding this unless I'm like just trying to get defend stronghold. So what I decided to do is be a little bit more aggressive with my 5 warriors that sticky the backfield, and then kind of just move out somewhere else. So I will have it held, it will be mine, but I don't have to actually commit too many resources to it. So this is the first thing here that I think is going to be important. I then have, in terms of the other warriors, I have one squad that's starting over here, kind of just at this line, ready to either push up and advance to get behind this ruin, or cycle with one of the Sagittars that will be pushing up on this side, which again we'll talk about in just a second. My other warrior squad is going to be here. There's a nice little nook that they could just hide in quite safely. There really isn't much pressure here that could stop them turn 1. If my opponent wants to go hyper aggressive to kill 5 warriors, I don't mind. I have 30 of them, so it's totally okay. They could do that, and then my whole army responds and picks them up. So the warriors are kind of like the easy stuff for me. My thought process here, if we think back to that deployment video that I made earlier this month, is I gotta have some stuff that can threaten OC on my opponent's expansion objective, which would be this one. So this is already like one set of potential OC threat inside of this Sagittar here, which I should probably mention. So just for visibility's sake, I put a single model next to each vehicle to highlight who's inside of it. So here I have warriors inside of this Sagittar. So this is a second set of OC pressure. So I have, like, right out the gate, potentially 2 squads that can delay primary for 2 turns on this objective marker. I then have this Sagittar here, which has a Maul unit of Berserks. So this is in case there's something like 3 wound model that gets here, like maybe a tank or something that they push up to try to like overwatch my warriors or deal with my Sagittars. Like, these Berserks could probably handle it quite effectively, especially if I fed them warriors, generating more judgment tokens on that unit. I then have over here another squad of Berserks. This is inspired heavily by my conversations with Ronnie Kilman, who I had another interview on the channel with. Ronnie uses his Sagittar with Maul Berserks quite aggressively on his deployment for Search and Destroy, which I took great inspiration from. I thought it was really creative. And so the idea here is that if I get first turn, you'll forgive me and bear with me as I still am trying to learn how to use TTS effectively. So basically, if I get first turn and I'm playing against something like World Eaters, or almost like, honestly, almost any army, I could essentially scout up like my 6 inches to here. And then from this spot, I could disembark my Berserks 3 inches, which will basically put them like somewhere like here, like this. They move their 5 inches after, like this, and now they could charge anything that's like hiding over here pretty reasonably. Like, if my opponent is aggressive with his deployment, tries to hide something like I did over here in this nook, thinks he's pretty safe, it's like a 5-inch charge after my movement to touch this. And then I'm in his DZ. Like, I am in his DZ turn 1. which is problematic because that's a tempo play, and my opponent is going to have to allocate resources to deal with this threat instead of moving out to his expansion objective more freely. So I like the potential for this. It's like a turn one alpha strike, depending on the matchup, right? Like sometimes it's going to be more effective than others. If I go into something like World Eaters and they have 3 Exalted or 3 8 bound, like just standing here, this is free. It's amazing. So really like this. I think this is really solid. And of course, if I'm against like a gun line, I just back up. I'm going to be taking the spot right over here with my 6 inches. And now I'm hidden from basically this firing lane if my opponent pushes up because of this ruin feature. And my opponent is going to have to really like come out here if he wants to see my army, which again, my whole army is here. So whatever he brings out will just die. So pretty safe. I like this a lot. There's some good pressure options. I then have another Sagittar here. So this Sagittar, it's going to scout up pretty much regardless of whether I get first or second turn. It's going to go hide into this ruin over here. And this guy's carrying 5 warriors. So this is my first like trading piece of like dumping OC, getting area denial, denying area denial for my opponent by having something here in this corner if he happens to deal with these Jaegers. And then this Sagittar is going to just kind of like move up into here, like against this wall with a 6-inch move, and just be ready to threaten this objective with OC, send my Berserks out over here because there will be Berserks inside of this Sagittar as well. And I decided to put the Axe ones here. Now, theoretically, like this is matchup dependent. This is one of those flex pieces. I can have the Axe Berserk standing in this one to help support my natural expansion if they put like some cheap stuff on it, just to deny primary, or if for example, in the middle, it requires something that's super efficient at sweeping. I could send these Axe Berserks out this way. But I think the flex is if I'm playing against something maybe like Eldari, for example, and I can get like a multi-charge off, I 100% will put the I'll put the Axe Berserks inside of this Sagittar instead, which means I could do that turn 1 play and actually pick up like several units really reliably. Which I think is quite powerful, just having the potential to do that. Over on this side, so these 5 warriors, like I said, they can get inside of any one of these transports after I dump something out, which is nice. They could also just like advance up here and I get more OC ready. It's Burden of Trust, so you want to have like something on the objective, maybe 2 things to just like do that action to get 2 extra, not really an action, but do that thing that gets you 2 extra VP. Then over here, this was a bit tricky. So the bikes, man, like this is, again, it's going to tie in a little bit with part 3 of this video. But the bikes are kind of like one of the harder pieces to use. I think the 6-man brick, it has such a large footprint. And I find, in my experience, what I've seen so far on GW, again, like I'm coming from WTC, it's actually really weirdly hard to get good angles with them effectively going up and down. I'm not sure why, like if it's designed this way intentionally, maybe it's just the maps I've been playing on, but it's like, you come up and let's say you want to attack this staging piece, right? Like there's actually no world where you clear like a full angle to get in and still be like 9 inches away and see with all your bikes. Like you'll be able to at most get like 2 or 3 bikes max inside like line of sight of this building. If someone's like standing here, they didn't screen out properly, right? It's like 9 inches. Like, look, I could probably see with like 1 bike over here. Even if they're in this corner, we're like super generous, right? It's like, 9 inches, I could come like up to here. Again, like how many bikes are actually going to be able to fit right here? It'll probably be 2 or 3. So it's really tough, I think, to find good lines to enter. And it's like even here, right? Like if I bring my bikes down here to shoot at this, I need to be really in this one specific firing lane like here. And how many bikes are going to be able to see that? Probably like 4. So I'm just like not really loving the 6-man bike squad in terms of like its ability to be an aggressive like firing lane shooter, I guess is how I would say it. Like it's a huge footprint. They're really good. Like the way you would throw them in like Tim Schneider's list, where it's like that forward pressure alpha strike on WTC works quite well, and you kind of act like a move block after. That's really good. GW, I'm having a hard time. There was one spot that really interested me, which was like right here. If I deploy my bikes on the line, I was like, wow, like, I do my scout move 9 inches. I land like a couple bikes over here and then they move 12. And it's like, now I could threaten my opponent's entire deployment zone, which is crazy. The problem with that is that if you don't get first turn, and you want to fall back like this way, you're like 1 inch off from being able to hide the squad, like through this line of sight over here, which is really, really annoying. Because then, like, if you back up 1 inch, you're 1 inch too short to be able to get like all your bikes to clear this angle and be able to shoot into your opponent's DZ. So it just feels like you're 1 inch off from being able to use this unit as like a threatening first turn attack. Or like Temple Disruptor. So I ended up going for a couple of safer plays. I have my bikes over here. I identified that like probably one good firing lane that I'd want to have these bikes in is potentially like staged here. So once all of this stuff like moves up over here and like stages, and then these guys move into here or they get inside of a vehicle, this squad of bikes is gonna actually just move and take this spot over here. So I have good line of sight to this objective. If my opponent tries to like get on it, I could potentially overwatch something. I also have easy access to just like coming out over here after, seeing this objective, seeing this objective, seeing this firing lane over here, and interacting with the board. And all of this is within 24 inches of their bubble for threat range. So in terms of shooting capabilities. So I like that quite a bit. I could also come out this way because they fly, and this is like supposed to be less than 2 inches, this rune. So they could just straight up fly over to like here like this. And now they see all of this, all of this, all of it is in range of being shot. So this is like where I want my bikes to be. So I have to start everything like this first so they can move out of the way, and then these bikes can move up in here. Alternatively, I can also move them up this way behind this ruin. So from here, like I can go a 9-inch scout. Like the guy who's furthest away will be able to clear this line where my opponent would be able to theoretically shoot me turn 1, which is what's important so I don't get shot. And then from here, of course, they could go up and down and threaten that if, for whatever reason, my opponent fails to screen. This bike squad over here, so these guys are similarly going to be playing for some firing lanes. I identified that like this is probably the best spot for the bikes to rest in. Because again, like I said, I just don't value the up and down that much. Maybe it's just this configuration of layout and deployment zone. I just don't see much use of being able to do that. Like anybody will be able to screen out the edges here and you just can't land anywhere meaningful. So like even from here, right? Like if you had this firing lane, it's like you could see with like bikes in the middle, of course, you can't see everything on the objective. So it's kind of like still well protected. See, there's like some spots like there that are hidden. So it's just like, I don't find it's that impactful, the up and down on this particular mission. So I don't mind having them just hanging out in the middle. These bikes, I would like for them to be over here. This is where I want to get them. This is a great spot because now I could pop out this way with like 12 inches and be on this objective to threaten OC. I could absolutely deal with anything that touches this. I could threaten the middle from here and help reinforce from this side while these bikes are helping over here or like up here. And I could potentially, if my opponent lets me, I could like come stage here, like, you know, if he really doesn't let me, I could come stage here, I could go up and down and come here, and then next turn I could start like pushing up and trying to take his backfield area, threatening his staging pieces like, I guess like over here, things like that. So that's kind of what the bikes are playing. So over here, these Sagittars, one will just straight up come 6 inches up this way, still hidden. So it's very tough for your opponent to get line of sight. This is kind of the line unless they really start to expose themselves and cross this ruin piece, which again, we don't mind. We have so many things that like we're forcing our opponent to make trades that we can benefit from. So like if he's going to expose something that's like a hard hitting unit to kill a Sagittar, that's fine. I have 5 more Sagittars. I have all these bikes that could come up this way and respond, right? It's only 7 inches for me to get here. So I could come up, see what he shot, kill it. I have all these vehicles that could respond. I have Berserks over here that are going to be with the Sagittars scouting up to either take the spot over here like this. They're going to probably just come slide down 6 inches and land here. And then they next turn can also interact with this objective, can stage in here. Maybe they disembark and hide behind this ruin. So there's just a lot of potential, I think, on this side of the table. Make room for the bikes. The bikes come land in here. And then these Sagittars and these Warriors are all just really playing like OC denial. Just dump bodies on this objective, stall on primary. The last couple pieces here in my list, I have the 2 E-champs. Now, I figured this one's like still flex. I'm not sure what I want to do. Like if my opponent has like some amount of, again, like backfield isn't super important to screen because your objective and your home base doesn't really count for anything. So I put the Dark Star Axe one, I believe, over here. Yeah. So the Dark Star Axe is over here. This is kind of like what I was saying. I wasn't sure who's going to get the enhancement just yet. I have to test the list out a bit more. But theoretically, it's like he's here because if my opponent brings something down backfield to try to take the Fen Stronghold away from me, this guy's pretty independent and able to deal with any one of those units pretty effectively. But I do think I'd rather have him play the middle for, like I said, forcing my opponent to double activate to deal with him because he gets back up on a 2+, as long as I don't roll a 1. And then I have here the big hammer guy. Again, flex pick. He can either go over here or over here. So I do have some options. Like, and of course, if my opponent has no like deep strike threats or like it's done, I'm going to start pushing this guy up, right? Like 5 inches. He advances potentially like on average 8. He's over here. So that's like, 1 turn. And then from here, he goes out 5 inches. That's 2 turns and he could charge something, right? That's like on this objective. So it's not like super out of the game. The other spot I was looking at putting him was maybe like in this corner, but this is like ridiculously long to get anywhere. Like it's going to take him 5 turns, right, to get like here, and then he could fight here. But then if there's nothing happening on this side, he's like isolated for the entire game. So I didn't love that too much. And then the last couple of pieces, which are very flexible, are the Jaegers. So I think if I'm playing against an army that's like hyper aggressive, like I don't know, Bile or something, I'm probably going to just string out my my Jaegers in the middle, something like this. It's not super precise. I didn't do like 2-inch measurements, but it's going to look something like this. So the idea here is really like, if you want to beeline my army, you have to come around this way. I want it to be like, you walk up here and into like my firing lanes, where it's easier for me to interact with you. And then if you crash in the middle, you don't touch me, and then I get to interact with you with my whole army. So that's kind of the idea there, just screening myself. And then also it allows me to guarantee that my opponent, if they have infiltrators, they can't stop me from scouting up like into this spot, up here, and then down here as well. There is actually like a bit of a bubble, so like 9 inches away if they want to deploy, they're going to have to put their infiltrator here. This is where they'll have to infiltrate to stop me from scouting. They'll potentially, and I'll still get some amount of scout off, right? Like it's 13 inches away where they will land from here due to this one Jaeger. So I'll still get to have some amount of scout move, just not my full distance, but that's fine. And then my whole army is here, and they'll just kill it if I get turn 1, and I'll get my 3 CP because I'll judge that unit. So not terrible. I think this is actually pretty nice. And the other important thing is that I avoid a firing lane. So if you see here, it's quite narrow. My opponent can't safely shoot me from his deployment zone. If he wants to interact with my Jaegers, he needs to expose something. He needs to come out here to shoot, like stage inside of this ruin. He needs to push out of his DZ where he's more vulnerable to me than shooting him and interacting with him. So that's kind of the idea with these guys. This will probably be my first drop if I'm against like an infiltrate army or something like that. I'd put it down this way. Over here, this is the other flex one. So these guys are just kind of guaranteeing that I get to scout up and hide. I don't really want to push these guys back, even if I get second turn. This is a really safe ruin to be in. So if I could get most of my army staged behind here where they're safe, I don't really have to worry about my opponent shooting them, and I already have like a good first turn tempo lead because of the scout moves where I could get to more places more quickly. So these guys are here to just guarantee that I get that. If my opponent's army has shooting, I'm going to be really careful how I hide them. If they don't have shooting, I'll probably string them out a little bit more aggressively, maybe like this, so that I could potentially like move block turn 1 or like push back off this objective. It's very flexible. So a lot of it is hard-coded, like the Sagittar placement, the bike placement, the infantry placement, and the character placement. And then some of it is flexible and adaptable, like the Jaeger squads, and of course, which berserks are inside of which vehicle. So I hope that was helpful and informative to you guys, kind of just breaking down how I practice for my events. I like to go prepared as much as possible because for me personally, I find deployment is the longest part for me to play, especially with a list like this because there are just way too many things. It's a parking lot. And if you don't prepare in advance and do your homework, you will probably time out. Like I only played one game with this, or two. I played 2 games with this list, and the first game we were like kind of just talking the whole time. It was with my teammate. We were practicing and talking, but I definitely timed out. Like I would have clocked. And the second game, I made it to round 5 before I clocked out. So there's a lot of pressure for time when you play like a lot of units, especially for deployment. You want to make sure deployment and turn 1 are just like a 5-minute thing max. So it gives you more time later on to do more things. All right, so that's part 1 and part 2 done for this video. So if all you were here for was the competitive part about Leagues of Votann and like tournament prep, you could stop here. The rest is going to be just kind of like a personal update and about the channel and things like that. And if you're sticking around, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your support on this. So I think like I alluded a couple of times now in this video that I keep saying, if I decide to run this list, if I decide to take this list. And I think one of the reasons for that, so I guess I'll preface this and say, I've been playing Leagues of Votann for a year and a half. Straight, basically. It's the only army I've played. I own a couple other armies that are like in various stages of being completed. And outside of like one game that I played with Tau like 6 months ago, all I've played for basically the whole edition since I started playing is Leagues of Votann. And I love the army. It's my favorite army in the game aesthetically. I just love the units, the very little lore that we have. It's my main army. It's my faction. I love it to death. Absolutely. And I've experienced lately, like just, I'm not even sure how to go about saying this. Like, you know, like what's your favorite food? Right? Like my favorite food's lasagna, right? I could eat lasagna like every day. Like a nice plate of homemade lasagna. Every day I could eat that up, man. And it'd be amazing. You could feed me like a spinach ricotta lasagna every day for a month. And it's perfection. I wouldn't bat an eye. I wouldn't complain. I'd enjoy every moment of it. But I think like after a few months of eating that exact same dish, I'm going to want to change it up a little bit, right? I'm going to make some slight changes to flavor. Maybe I'll put some different ingredients in, like a vegetable lasagna, something like that, a creme blanche lasagna. But at the end of the day, it's still a lasagna, right? And what happens after 6 months, a year and a half of eating lasagna? There's only so many different variations you can make and taste before you're just kind of tired of eating lasagna, right? Like you look around you and everybody's got the new menu. They're all eating new things. It's a different restaurant and you're still sitting in the old one and you're eating your lasagna. And you love lasagna. You always will. But like it just doesn't hit the same and you're kind of just tired of it and you want to change it up. And I think that's kind of where I'm at right now competitively with Leagues of Votann. Is I've been playing this army that I love for a year and a half. And it's functionally the exact same army that it has been a year and a half ago. And that's the big problem for me. This is a bit of a tangent, but a lot of armies in the game got a breath of fresh life with the Grotmus detachments that came out, and then the first data slate of the year that came out, and they gave all these new armies. Some had codexes, some didn't. Everybody got a new detachment to play with, and it kind of just helped shake things up. For Leagues of Votann, we basically got nothing. And like I can say this, like competitively, it's not a good list. It's not a good detachment, I should say. The Hearthband, it's broken. It doesn't work well. The benefits you get are just too restrictive to actually have a meaningful impact on the game in a way that Oathband isn't just superior in every aspect with. Like I played a game with Hearthband and I was so excited about it, even though I knew it was worse. I don't mind if it's worse than Oathband. I just like you need it to be competitively viable. And like I played Hearthband into Hall Spam Death Guard, okay? I killed one, I think I genuinely killed a bloat drone. That's all I killed the entire game. And I drew. It was a tie game. Why is that? Because like literally I did not use any rules in that detachment except for re-rolling ones, which felt so good. Like how deprived are we of re-roll rules that I want to go back to this one detachment that does nothing else and does no damage just to be able to re-roll dice and get some amount of consistency. And like I was able to draw a game. And why is that? Because I'm fundamentally still playing the same army. All this army does is play Warhammer. It just plays the fundamentals of the game very well. It doesn't do anything special or flashy. And I think after a year and a half of playing an army that honestly like doesn't have rules in a lot of ways. um I'm just tired, man. Like I think I just want to play something else. And I don't say this lightly because like up until a month ago, I took a break from playing for about a month, like a little bit after the battle report came out. I played a couple other games and I took a break. I realized like I found I was starting to get like a little bit tilted when I'd play, which never happened to me before. For Warhammer ever, I would start getting a little bit tilted. I'd become a little bit more critical about like my dice rolls, about luck and things like that. Like none of this ever happened to me before, and I was like, why am I getting annoyed at this? Like I was starting to dread like going to play at the store because it was like a chore to have to put this army back on the table. It's like I'm just not inspired. I don't really want to do anything. Then I thought up this list for my upcoming teams event, and it's like I gotta go buy a sixth Sagittar now. And it's like, oh my God, like we're gonna get more models like in 4 months from now. Like I don't want to buy anything else for Votann. I'm just kind of tired, and I'm like trying to just create new ways to keep myself engaged with this army when really like it's the same six data sheets that are the only ones that hit the table competitively. Again, like casually you could do whatever you want, but competitively it's really only these. And I think like I just got burned out. I got burned out of eating lasagna. Like it's my favorite thing, but it was just too much lasagna. And like I came back after a month and I played with my teammate, one of my friends, the other night, and it was like the same things were just they just kept happening, right? Like it's the army's great. The army's in a really good spot. It's like high B tier, low A tier. Like it's a really good army competitively. There's nothing wrong with this. I still think it's a very strong army, and like I don't make this decision lightly to not take this to my team's event potentially because I think it's very powerful. But when I look at these rules that other armies have, even if they're worse objectively than Votann in terms of like win rate or power, like when I look at some of the things these armies can do, and it's like I look at mine, I have no rules. Like I'm playing a different game. It feels like I'm playing a template to 10th edition, whereas like I'm missing like, and that's like to no fault of the army. It's just like we have so few models, right? It's a new army that just came out recently. We only have again one detachment effectively. Like if Hearthband was competitively viable, if Hearthband they tweaked it a little bit considering the limitations that the army has, and like just like increase the power level a little bit, even if it was worse than Oathband still, I would be running that. I'd be excited. I remember when that came out, I was just like theory crafting so many different lists, and I think that's just what I miss is like that inspiration. I'm just not really feeling it anymore, and I think it's because I've just been playing the same army for too long, and if it wasn't for the channel, there would be nothing stopping me from trying other things out. So I decided very strongly that after much consideration, the RTT that I'm attending, that I just did this whole prep for, I'm not taking Votann, I'm taking Tau. I'm going to change it up, and I think it's going to be really healthy for me. It's going to allow me to just kind of like explore the game from a different lens. It's going to allow me to just kind of shake things up and start getting inspired again, excited again even about playing Warhammer. And I think, this channel will always remain a Votann dominant channel all the time. I'm not going to start doing like unit analyses and tactics talks for Tau. But the only thing that's going to really change for you guys, the viewers, besides knowing a little bit more, I guess, about like my state of mind on this, is the tournament reports. They're probably going to scale back a little bit because they're going to be Tau related. So maybe I will post them. Maybe I'll still make them. I enjoy talking. I enjoy making content. So I might do that still if there's interest in it. Let me know in the comments below if you care about seeing, I think they're both kind of very similar armies in terms of kind of like what they do. They both kind of just play. They're not really like the same, but there are some similarities, I would say, in terms of what they can do potentially. There's a clear draw, I think. A lot of Votann players play Tau, and a lot of Tau players play Votann. So I don't know, maybe it's like just the aesthetics, but there's something there that draws me to it. So I'm going to shake it up with that. And, for the battle reports, I think the big thing with the battle reports now, I'm still going to be playing Votann, but I think the big thing with the battle reports is I'm not going to be playing the most hyper aggressive competitive Oathband lists that I could come up with. I think they're still going to be very competitive, but I'm going to have more fun with it, and I'm going to try things out that I didn't previously get to despite really wanting to, because I feel like I'm wasting my time not playing the most efficient thing. So for example, I'm going to play Hearthband. I'm absolutely going to play Hearthband in the battle reports and try it out, test out some different lists, test out like some wacky stuff that I created that I think like have competitive merit, but I just didn't have the time to actually like practice and develop that list because it just wasn't worth it. Like I might as well just stick with what is tried and true. So I just want to have like more fun with the army again, and like feel inspired again. So that's really just the PSA, I guess, is tournament recaps are going to probably drop a little bit until the codex comes out, because oh baby, when that codex comes out, we are like full steam ahead Votann again. And I think for battle reports, we're going to probably see a little bit of a shakeup in terms of what I'm playing, namely in terms of like detachments and like viable list builds and things like that. I'm just going to start exploring some of these other ideas that I had. Again, very limited range, but I'm just going to start having a little bit more fun with the army and starting to, I guess, replenish my love for lasagna. So I hope that makes a lot of sense. I hope that's something that you guys can understand and appreciate. Again, still 100% Votann channel. Absolutely love Votann, my army for life. But just wanted to share a little bit of like my state of mind, and hopefully just like avoid myself burning out on the game of the army, because that's very important. I'm always proud of myself on being as authentic and genuine as I can with the content and the videos and my opinion of things. And I don't think this is any different. And I felt like it's something I had to share and just kind of express. And hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from with this. So massive thank you, of course, to everybody for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment for me down below. A big thank you, of course, to our channel members, the sponsor, Card Brawlers, which is an amazing store located in Montreal for all your wargaming needs. And, of course, to our incredible Discord community, which you could join free of charge by following the link down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for coming, and I'll catch you all in the next one.